Israel Adesanya changed the way that I see masculinity. Okay, I want to start off by saying that Israel Adesanya is a weird guy. I mean, there's no denying that. He does weird shit. He says weird stuff. His clothes are weird. And this whole dog stuff that's happening around. Overall, he's not a pleasant guy to be around, I assume.
Shout out to the puppy.
The puppy?
Whoa, what kind of code word was that?
I know right now it's very trending to hate on Israel Adesanya. Like everywhere you look, every Instagram post, every video, everyone is talking about how much of a loser he is. And Sean Strickland brought that to light, you know. People hated Israel Adesanya before. Like I remember even when he was fighting Yoel Romero, even before that, when he was fighting Robert Whittaker, people were criticizing him for being not being manly enough, for being a weirdo, and how Bobby Knuckles is gonna kick his head in. And then he actually knocked out Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker. And later on, people were saying, but he wouldn't stand against someone like Yoel Romero. And then the whole boring fight happens, and the criticism got even worse. Like he's not a likable dude. That's what I'm gonna say. People hate him enough. The number one reason that I think why people hate him is because he's not mature enough. Like when you look at him, he's acting childish. He's not certain in his words. He changes a lot, you know. He's not really genuine. He changes his face a lot. Like when he was talking about China, when he was in China, it was all praises and shit.
Black outside, China inside. I am Chinese. I'm the Black Dragon.
But when he was asked again in the United States, he talked about how weird the Chinese people are.
They just add dragon to whatever you look like, and then it makes you Asian. Yeah.
Could be Barayanta.
That's, I guess, the justified criticism that I agree to, that he's not mature enough. He doesn't act his own age. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, when he was beefing with John Jones and he was saying that John Jones is jealous of me because I'm young and shit, I was actually very surprised because that was the first time that I looked up his age and I realized he's the same age as John Jones. Like, he's like 1 year younger. But when you look at them as two people apart, he looks like 10 years younger. Just not because of his looks and shit, because of his behavior. He acts so immature according to his own age. He doesn't act his own age. And that's what people really hate about him. One thing that I really hate about people like him as well is because they claim that the criticisms are hate. Like, they don't think for a second that I may be a piece of shit. They just think, no, it's all hate. They're all haters. I'm the best guy around. They can't see me. They're all jealous. That's another thing that I hate about people like Israel Adesanya, because they don't take criticism lightly. But I will say something nice about him. This video is a praise of Israel Adesanya. I know it's been like 3 minutes now, and I've been bashing him. But this video, you read the title, is Israel Adesanya Changed My View on Masculinity. And it was a good thing. I'm going to say this. Let me start off like this. What is the ultimate challenge of masculinity? What defines masculinity? I'm an uneducated person. I'm not trying to get philosophical with you guys. From the base, what you see, the ultimate test of masculinity always has been fighting. In the gladiator days, like in the ancient world, when the Romans were invading other nations, tribal nations, in those tribal nations as well as the Rome, men were challenged by their masculinity. The challenge of masculinity for men was if they can fight or not, if they can defend their home or not. That's been around for centuries. Just like what Joe Rogan said, you can beat someone in a basketball game, but they can always turn around and say, yeah, but I can kick your ass.
If someone wins a basketball game, they can always say, yeah, well, I could have kicked your ass.
Yeah.
You might have beat me at basketball, but I could kick your ass. Nobody gets their ass kicked and goes, yeah, well, I'll fuck you up at basketball. Because no one cares. No one cares. You just got fucked up.
Because they know that defeat in basketball doesn't define them as a weak man. What defines them is if they can get beaten or not. Like physically. This is some Freud shit, you know. This is some tribal, ancestral, primal shit, you know. This doesn't happen in the normal civilized society. Like you've never been challenged by your masculinity. Someone doesn't come up to you in the street and say, let's fight and see who's the bigger man. That never happens. But it all happens in your unconsciousness, you know. When you walk in a room, you think to yourself, okay, am I man enough to beat these guys? Are they man enough to beat me? That's what happens in your unconsciousness. At least that's what's happening in me. I don't know about you guys. And on that level, Israel Adesanya has proven everybody wrong. When you look at him, you see a demasculinated man. Is that a word? Demasculinated? I don't know. You see a weak man. You see a girly man with pink nails, pink hair, acting all childish and shit. And when you see someone like, I don't know, Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker, someone who's a family man, traditional family man, big goatee mustache, and he's all muscles and humble, and the idea of what a masculine man should look like. And then Israel Adesanya humbles him, like absolutely knocks him out. And then that kind of makes me think, like, right now they have to respect his masculinity. As much as you don't like the way he dresses, it's like what Strickland says, fighting is like sex.
Remember when we were talking about fighting is like having sex with a woman?
Yes.
Does that mean that Alex f***ed you?
And in that fight, Israel Adesanya fucked Robert Whittaker, like what he did to Paulo Costa. You might not like it, he might not be pretty, he might not have been there banging out like some brawlers and shit, like manly brawlers. But overall, on the record and in reality, he beat those guys. He proved himself to be more manly in the ultimate challenge of what masculinity is, which is cage fighting, And that kind of got me thinking. He even got the respect of other fighters, like what Sean Strickland said. Even though he fucking hates Izzy, he never said that he wasn't a fighter. Israel Adesanya, it doesn't matter how weird he is, how much he paints his nails, how much he acts like a girl. Overall, he can fight. And that fighting demands respect from other men. That is what makes him masculine. As much as he might not look like a masculine man, he is. Like, I'm gonna compare this to the history. For example, in the tribal days, like in the ancient world, the Romans were perceived as being feminine by the tribal Germanic people. Like they would say, look at these CC Romans living in the castles and shit. Not castles, living in big cities with their aqueducts and their comfortable life. They're not man enough like us tribals living in the field, living in the nature, hairy chest, hairy men, like absolute buffoons. And they were right. Overall, 1v1, a tribal Germanic fighter would have destroyed a Roman soldier. But overall, the Romans absolutely destroyed the Germanics in Gaul, in Germania, in the Rhine, everywhere. Because overall, it didn't matter how much you look like you are strong. What it mattered at the end was how strong you are in reality. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Romans didn't have to act strong for the Germanic people to get their respect. They could absolutely kick their ass to gain that respect, which they did. That's what I think about Israel Adesanya. Like, that's what's interesting to me. You assume automatically when you see some men act the way that Israel Adesanya acts, you assume that they're a coward. But he is actually a warrior. I mean, Poatan, Alex Pereira, he said it himself.
Whittaker.
Guerreiro.
John Jones.
Guerreiro.
Jamal Hill.
Bom.
Yuri Prohaska.
Muito bom.
Israel Adesanya.
Guerreiro.
And he's the ultimate, what a masculine man looks like, He's the ultimate of that version. And he gave that respect to Israel Adesanya. You see, that's what I'm talking about. What my point is right now is, you don't have to think about how you look in order to gain respect. When you specialize in one field to a point that there is no denying your craft, you will get that respect no matter how you look. Like, they don't go around and say what doctor looks more like a doctor so we can hire him. They say what doctor can do his craft better. You can look like absolute bum, but be the best surgeon ever, and people will still give you respect. Even though normal people might not, but the people who are important to your job will. It kind of overcompensates. Is that a word again? Overcompensates you. Like, if you're weird, if you don't know how to talk, if you're not charming enough, what matters if you stick to one skill and be absolute best at it, then everyone will respect you. And you will be perceived as masculine because you're respected. You can be counted on. You can be a provider. We come off after the loss to Sean Strickland. Israel Adesanya got absolutely outclassed, outmatched by Sean Strickland, and he won the title fair and square. I want Sean Strickland to win the rematch because I think Sean Strickland is more of an entertaining fighter right now to be champion. We had Israel Adesanya as a champion for a long period, you know. We need some new drama, some new competition. But I doubt he can beat Israel Adesanya in the return. Because as much as he was dominant in the first fight, and he completely outskilled him, like not outskilled, he outmatched Israel Adesanya. I think Israel Adesanya can make that adjustment to beat Sean Strickland. That's my opinion.